Rain country, within the Ling clan residence of Grey Cloud Town. The moon had already crossed the midpoint of the night sky, its pale radiance cascading over silent courtyards and tiled eaves. Ling Han required precisely 10 breaths to confirm a single truth. He had truly been reincarnated. For a supreme expert who once stood in the heaven tier, spending 10 breaths merely to verify reality was something utterly inconceivable. Yet that very absurdity proved just how unfathomable the event he had experienced truly was. In his previous life, he had stood at the absolute summit of martial Tao, and his accomplishments in the path of alchemy were without precedent. The three-fire guide he had created had overturned the theoretical foundations of alchemy itself, sparking a revolution in the field. Because of this, he had been revered throughout the world as the Alchemy Emperor. And still, he had not been satisfied. His ambitions soared higher still, to break through to the legendary Shattering Void tier, to tear open the void itself and attain immortality. Thus he roamed countless ancient ruins, braving peril after peril, until at last he entered Blackblood Valley. There, after overcoming numerous life-threatening obstacles, he discovered an ancient tower. He was not disappointed. Upon that ancient tower, golden characters manifested, revealing a supreme scripture known as the Indestructible Heaven Scroll. Should one cultivate it to its utmost level, one could forge a body that neither aged nor decayed, one that would coexist with heaven and earth and share the same lifespan as the sun and moon. Yet, even as a warrior who had already reached the heaven tier, Ling Han found the Indestructible Heaven Scroll unfathomably abstruse and difficult to comprehend. It was as though he were staring at a heavenly text, utterly bewildering, impossible to grasp. He forcibly committed this collection of supreme skills to memory. Just as he prepared to further investigate the ancient tower, it trembled slightly and erupted with a pillar of heavenly light that instantly shattered his mortal body. And yet, strangely enough, his spirit did not disperse. Instead, it entered a state of semi-consciousness that endured for over 10,000 years. During those 10 millennia, his spirit remained immersed in analyzing the indestructible heaven scroll, for there was nothing else he could do in that boundless void of time. At long last, he comprehended the first layer of the supreme skills recorded within it. To spend 10,000 years comprehending merely the first layer of a scroll, even as a heaven-tier warrior, what kind of concept was that? A heaven-tier warrior possessed a lifespan of less than 1,000 years. Under normal circumstances, no one in this world could ever fully learn the indestructible heaven scroll. Before even beginning to comprehend it, one would first perish from old age. And yet, through this bizarre occurrence, Ling Han had grasped the first layer of the indestructible heaven scroll. Now, he had suddenly reincarnated, reborn within the body of a 16-year-old youth who bore the same name, Ling Han. It was utterly inconceivable. No matter how it happened, I have been reborn. Though this body has only reached the second layer of body refining tier and could not be more trash-like than this, I was once a heaven tier warrior, standing at the peak of martial Tao and a grandmaster of alchemy. If this body's condition is poor, then I shall compensate with medicinal pills. I refuse to believe I cannot return to the summit once more. Moreover, I can finally cultivate the indestructible heaven scroll. This is a collection of supreme skills powerful that it may not even originate from this mortal plane, but from the legendary immortal plane itself. Otherwise, how could I have spent 10,000 years and comprehended only the first layer? In this life, I will certainly surpass all who came before and attain immortality. His thoughts shifted. But what is wrong with this body? 16 years of age, yet only at the second layer of body refining tier? Could it be that the martial Tao of this era is declining? Bang! With a sound like an explosion within his sea of consciousness, an immeasurable torrent of memories flooded his mind. They belonged to the other Ling Han, the original owner of this body. As these memories poured in, the two distinct wills fused together, melding into one unified consciousness, no longer separate. I see. Within his thoughts, Ling Han nodded. The reason this body had only reached the second layer of body refining tier was because its spirit base was of exceedingly poor quality. To cultivate as a warrior, one must possess a spirit base. Only with a spirit base could one draw in the spiritual chi of heaven and earth, temper the body, and transform that spiritual chi into one's own origin power. Some spirit bases absorbed spiritual chi swiftly. Others absorbed it sluggishly. To distinguish between them, spirit bases were divided into four major grades: heaven, earth, black, and yellow. Each major grade was further separated into three minor levels: high, medium, and low. The best was heaven grade high level. The worst was yellow grade low level. The purity of the spirit base determined its grade. The purer it was, the better. Ling Han's spirit base was in complete disarray, containing all five elements in chaotic mixture. Within the martial world, this was considered the worst type of spirit base. It barely qualified as yellow grade low level. That was why, at 16, he had only reached the second layer of body refining tier, while others of the same age had already attained at least the fourth or fifth layer. In his previous life, Ling Han had possessed a heaven grade spirit base, and moreover a high level one, the Nine Yang Fire Spirit base. Coupled with his unparalleled talent in alchemy and the support of medicinal pills, he had required only 200 years to ascend to the heaven tier, an achievement unprecedented in history. Five elements disarray spirit base, the lowest of spirit bases. No wonder my predecessor remained stuck at the second layer of body refining tier, no matter how diligently he trained. For me, this five elements disarray spirit base is somewhat troublesome, but with alchemical pills I will need at most 4 years to return to the summit. Yi, Ling Han exclaimed inwardly. Astonishment and disbelief spread across his face. With his immensely powerful spiritual perception, he once again inspected the spirit base within his dantian. He was stunned for a brief moment. Then, shock transformed into wild joy. This is not the five elements disarray spirit base. The five elements are perfectly balanced, forming the shape of a lotus. That means this is the five elements mix chaos lotus, the supreme of supremes, rarer even than the Nine Yang Fire Spirit base. This is the spirit base known as the Immortal Grade Spirit base. My predecessor's slow progress was because an Immortal Grade Spirit base requires specialized cultivation techniques to unlock its true might, and, as fate would have it, I possess precisely the skill suited to this five elements mix chaos lotus. The five elements heaven grade skill. 100 years? No, I need only 50 years to return to the heaven tier. Even as one who had once stood in the heaven tier, Ling Han could not restrain his expression of ecstasy. A spirit base was something one was born with. It could not be altered. In his previous life, in pursuit of shattering the void and attaining immortality, he had explored countless ancient ruins and acquired numerous secret arts and cultivation methods. The five elements heaven grade skill was among them. In his former life, he had stood atop the martial world. In this, he would once more bask in glory and forge an undying legend. But how did my predecessor die? He sifted through the inherited memories, and fury swiftly darkened his face. His predecessor had been the sole son of Ling clan, head Ling Dongxing. His mother and grandparents had passed away early. The Ling clan was a clan of martial artists. Every member practiced martial arts and took pride in it. Ling Dongxing had become clan head because he was the strongest, ascending through battle. Yet, because of the issue with his spirit base, Ling Han had been labeled trash since childhood and endured endless ridicule. To secure his son's future, Ling Dongxing struck a bargain with Huyang Academy. Huyang Academy would accept Ling Han as a disciple and exhaust all resources to train him. In exchange, Ling Dongxing would enter Purple Light Ground Valley to retrieve something the Academy had lost years ago, Huyang Academy, under the jurisdiction of the Rain Country's imperial dynasty, possessed boundless resources. If they devoted themselves fully, even the worst trash could reach element gathering tier. But the Academy was not foolish. If the lost item were easily obtained, why offer such generous terms? Purple Light Ground Valley was perilous beyond measure. A single misstep could lead to death. Yet for his son's sake, Ling Dongxing departed 7 days ago without hesitation. Yesterday, representatives from Huyang Academy arrived, informing the Ling clan that, as agreed, they would come today to escort Ling Han. Yet at that moment, the Ling clan's chief butler, Ling Zhongquan, approached his predecessor. He demanded that Ling Han relinquish this precious opportunity to his own grandson, Ling Muyun. His reasoning was simple. Ling Muyun was a genius with limitless prospects. Such an opportunity should not be wasted on trash. Naturally, his predecessor refused. His father had wagered his life for this chance. But though Ling Zhongquan claimed to discuss, he had merely come to inform. He had no intention of listening. Unable to endure further, his predecessor resisted. But Ling Zhongquan was an element-gathering tier warrior. With a single finger, he overwhelmed him utterly. How could he resist? With one punch, his predecessor was gravely injured and confined to his room, clearly to prevent him from causing trouble when the people from Huyang Academy arrived. By the time Ling Dongxing returned, everything would already be settled. Thus, severely wounded and burning with resentment, Ling Han died in anger. Ling Han let out a cold harumph. They had gone too far. His father had risked his life to secure this opportunity, and Ling Zhongquan and his grandson dared to snatch it away so brazenly? Shameless dogs, he would not accept this. He rose from the bed and immediately felt pain coursing through his body. Though he had gained new life, his injuries had not healed. N? The spirit base has been damaged. His brows furrowed. Ling Zhongquan's blow had actually damaged his spirit base. Injuries to the spirit base were extremely troublesome. Ordinary medical stones were useless. From my knowledge, there are 7 types of pills capable of repairing spirit-based damage. 4 require ingredients so expensive that even selling the entire Ling clan would not suffice. Moreover, my spirit base is only lightly damaged, so such high-grade pills are unnecessary. Of the remaining 3, 2 require pill refinement, beyond my current second-layer body refining tier capabilities. That leaves only one option, Origin Heart Recover Spirit Powder, which requires merely proper proportioning and cooking into a medicinal concoction. I will first heal my injuries, then stop Ling Zhongquan and his grandson. I may not care for this position, but I will not allow the opportunity my father risked his life for to benefit that shameless grandfather-grandson pair. He sat cross-legged and began circulating the indestructible heaven scroll. This was his first time truly cultivating this possibly immortal grade technique. Yet after 10,000 years of analysis, it was as natural as breathing. Wang, Wang, Wang. Powerful life force surged within him. His origin power was rapidly consumed, yet his wounds healed at astonishing speed. Within minutes, he was fully restored. Truly worthy of the name, Indestructible Heaven Scroll. I have only just begun cultivation, yet its effects are already so extraordinary, and this technique is entirely unlike ordinary methods. Typical cultivation techniques use the spirit base to absorb spiritual chi and convert it into origin power. The Indestructible Heaven Scroll does the opposite, using origin power to temper the body and mend injuries. When I cultivate it to the highest level, immortality may indeed be possible. That is why it is called Heaven Scroll. Unfortunately, my current level is insufficient, otherwise I could use it to heal my spirit base. Ling Han opened his eyes. Dawn light crept through the window. He murmured softly, "Now I shall go meet Ling Zhongquan, that shameless old man, and give him a surprise." He put on his shoes, walked to the door, and opened it. A tall figure stood in the doorway, blocking his path. His name was Zhang Yuan, one of Ling Zhongquan's lackeys. "Young Master Han, Chief Butler has commanded that you remain in your room today," Zhang Yuan said with a laugh. Though the youth before him was the clan head's son, he was also a notorious piece of trash. Nothing but a joke in Zhang Yuan's eyes. Ling Han's gaze turned icy. "You dare to hinder me?" Indeed, the chief butler had ordered that Ling Han be prevented from interfering at all costs. If necessary, force could be used. Thus Zhang Yuan smiled falsely and said, "It is the chief butler's command. Young Master Han, please do not make things difficult for me." Ling Zhongquan, this old dog, is truly cautious, Ling Han thought. He has already gravely injured me and still fears unrest, even stationing someone to guard the door. This only demonstrated how desperately Ling Zhongquan wanted his grandson to enter Huyang Academy. "Get out of my way," Ling Han said coldly. "Young Master Han, this was ordered by the chief, but—" "Pa!" Ling Han's hand flashed, striking Zhang Yuan across the face. He said coldly, "What are you doing? I told you to move, yet you refuse." He had actually been slapped by trash. Zhang Yuan clutched his cheek in disbelief. How dare this piece of trash resist him? Rage surged within him. He recalled Ling Zhongquan's words. If necessary, he could attack. His hatred flared. "Young Master Han, this is what you forced me to." "Pa!" Ling Han's hand rose once more and delivered another resounding slap. Zhang Yuan was on the verge of madness. He, a martial artist of the fourth layer of body refining tier, had actually been slapped twice by a piece of trash. In his towering rage, he completely forgot to question how a piece of trash at merely the second layer of body refining tier could possibly land two slaps on him. Throwing his head back, he opened his mouth and let out a furious roar as he lunged at Ling Han. There was only a single thought left in his mind: to viciously beat this piece of trash into the ground. His punch carried formidable force, the air before his fist stirring into a faint breeze as it shot straight toward Ling Han. Ling Han, however, stood strangely calm and unmoving. In his previous life, with but a flick of his fingers, he could have annihilated 10,000 Zhangzuans without effort. Yet now, he possessed only the cultivation of the second layer of body refining tier. The disparity in strength posed some difficulty, but that was all it was, some difficulty. The soul directing this body was, after all, once a supreme expert of the heaven tier. Though his cultivation had vanished, his perception and insight remained intact. Zhang Yuan merely needed to lift a hand or shift a foot, and Ling Han could deduce where the punch would fall and how the foot would step. Thus, by the time Zhang Yuan's fist shot forth, Ling Han had already responded. Hoo! The fist seemed to have struck its mark, and a cold grin spread across Zhang Yuan's face. Once struck by his punch, its overwhelming force would immediately strip Ling Han of all resistance, leaving him utterly at his mercy. He had hit. And yet surprise flooded Zhang Yuan's expression. Though his punch appeared to have smashed into Ling Han's face, it had in truth missed by the slightest sliver. At the final instant, Ling Han had stepped back just enough to evade it. Zhang Yuan's fist halted precisely before the tip of Ling Han's nose. It nearly touched him, calculated with such exactitude that it was as though a ruler had measured the distance down to the finest hair's breadth. It must be coincidence, Zhang Yuan consoled himself inwardly. At that very instant, Ling Han's palm swept forward once more. Pah! A sharp and resounding crack echoed through the air as Zhang Yuan received yet another solid slap. Damn it! Zhang Yuan spat out a mouthful of saliva, roared in fury, and once again drove his fist toward Ling Han. Hoo! The punch missed yet again. It was as though Ling Han's upper body arched backward at the exact same moment the fist cut through the air. Supporting himself with both hands against the ground, he pushed off, and his right leg shot upward automatically, striking squarely between Zhang Yuan's legs with a muted thud. Ow! Even though his cultivation stood at the fourth layer of body refining tier, that availed him nothing. No one could cultivate iron balls. The kick landed cleanly. Zhang Yuan collapsed onto his knees at once, both hands clutching his crotch as beads of cold sweat streamed down his face. You're so treacherous. Zhang Yuan trembled violently, his face twisted so grotesquely it hardly resembled a human countenance. Pah! Ling Han delivered yet another slap. Zhang Yuan's mouth flew open, and several broken teeth spat out onto the ground. Ling Han felt no trace of pity and said coldly, "A dog will always be a dog. As expected, it would not be able to spit out ivory." Zhang Yuan burned with boundless humiliation. Forced to kneel and slapped viciously by someone at the second layer of body refining tier, what sort of disgrace was this? He wanted to retaliate, yet the blow to his privates had drained him of all strength. Each slightest movement sent waves of excruciating pain through him. But he absolutely could not allow Ling Han to ruin Ling Zhongquan's important business. If he failed to complete the task entrusted to him, with Ling Zhongquan's temperament, death would surely be his end. Han, young Master Han, listen to me, you can't leave this place. Actually, you have been poisoned. Once you leave this room, you will die of poison. His thoughts churned in panic as he desperately concocted a lie to keep Ling Han here. Ling Han could not help but smile. Did Zhang Yuan truly believe such clumsy acting could deceive him? With a swift kick, he sent Zhang Yuan flying aside. He had no leisure to waste on this lackey. He needed to stop Ling Zhongquan's sinister scheme from succeeding. Otherwise, his father would have risked his life only for others to reap the benefits. As for Zhang Yuan, Ling Han naturally would not waste thought on such a minor character. Ling Zhongquan only needed to see him appear, and he would personally come deal with Zhang Yuan. There was no need for Ling Han to dirty his own hands. Don't go! Don't go! Zhang Yuan's sobs and pleas trailed from behind him. It was as though he could already behold the wretched fate awaiting him. An accomplice to evil deserved no sympathy. He had only himself to blame. Ling Han strode forward. After several minutes, he reached the inner doorway of the living room. Before even stepping inside, he heard an aged voice ring out loudly. "Miss Liu, please, please." The living room possessed both an inner and outer entrance. The inner doorway connected to the inner court, while the outer doorway led to the main gate. Through the curtains, Ling Han saw a group of 5 approaching. 4 were male, 1 female. Aside from the young woman, Ling Han recognized the 4 men immediately. They were all members of the Ling clan. One was an elderly man, the chief butler, Ling Zhongquan. 2 were middle-aged men of about 40 years, both sons of Ling Zhongquan. The last was a young man, older than Ling Han by 1 or 2 years, none other than Ling Zhongquan's eldest grandson, Ling Muyuan. Ling Han's gaze shifted to the sole female in the group. Even with the discerning eyes he possessed from his former life as a heaven-tier expert, his own eyes brightened. This young woman was truly breathtaking. Her features were like autumn waters, her skin as pale and luminous as the moon. She appeared no more than 17 or 18, yet already carried an elegant bearing and beauty capable of toppling kingdoms. Yet her aura was as cold as an icy mountain peak, repelling all who dared approach. This young girl must be the envoy dispatched by Huyang Academy. What a coincidence. En? Ling Han's eyes widened slightly. He had discovered something even more coincidental, and an involuntary smile curved his lips. Host and guests took their seats accordingly. Several maidservants stepped forward to serve fragrant tea and then stood respectfully at the sides. Has the person from the Ling clan that you are sending to the academy gotten ready? Lu Yu Tong spoke, her voice cold yet melodious, tinged with faint disdain. What she detested most were those who entered the academy through the back door. Though she had been ordered to come, she harbored no favorable feelings toward this future junior disciple. Ready, ready, Ling Zhongquan replied hurriedly. Though he was old enough to be her grandfather, both stood within the same cultivation realm, the element gathering tier. In the martial world, respect was determined not by age, but by strength. Ling Zhongquan even sensed that this young woman's cultivation slightly surpassed his own. He was at the 6th layer of element gathering tier, while she might already be at the 7th, perhaps even the 8th. This realization only intensified his eagerness to send his own grandson to Huyang Academy. In a few years, that grandson could surpass Ling Dongxing and assist him in seizing the position of clan head. Muyun, quickly greet your elder sister disciple Lu, the old man instructed Ling Muyuan. Yes, grandfather, Ling Muyun responded respectfully. Cupping his hands toward Lu Yutong, he said, Muyun greets elder sister disciple Lu. Heat burned within his gaze. As he looked upon this cold, beautiful, and immensely powerful woman, wild ambitions surged in his heart. He believed that, given enough time together, he could capture this beauty's heart. Lu Yutong was slightly startled. She remembered that the Ling clan disciple she was to escort was named Ling Han. But this matter did not concern her. She was only responsible for bringing one person from the Ling clan back to the academy. Since you're ready, then let's depart, she said calmly. Miss Liu, why not remain in our humble residence for a few days, so that we may express a small token of gratitude? Ling Zhongquan hastily suggested. He wished to draw closer to this young girl so that she might look after his grandson in the future. No need. Lu Yutong refused coldly. She turned, preparing to leave. Please wait. A voice rang out as Ling Han strode forth. The expressions of Ling Zhongquan and his group changed subtly. However much they looked down upon this piece of trash, they were the ones acting as thieves now, and thieves naturally felt guilty. Younger brother Han, weren't you injured? Return quickly to your room to rest, Ling Muyun reacted first. He shot forward and reached Ling Han's side, extending his hand. He intended to seize Ling Han immediately, not giving him even a chance to speak. He was at the 7th layer of body refining tier, his strength far beyond anything Zhang Yuan could compare to.